Hello, everyone. I was trying to get my banner ready. Okay, so thanks everyone for tuning in once again to Queen Amadai TV presents More Than Meets the Third Eye. Okay, so as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, and if you haven't been receiving your notifications, please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed to this channel. You know how they go down, how it goes down in these YouTube streets, okay? Also, don't forget to follow the Queen on Instagram at QueenAShakur. Also on Instagram at divine_goddess_27. On Twitter at dgoddess27. Right in Patreon at QueenAShakur. All right, so hello, one who cares. Ayan Ma'at Bay, Ma'at Egypt, Cherokee Descended King, Hiram X, Lady E, Pearly Battle, October Opal, Queen Candy J is Black, Rain Love. Okay, so let's get started, people. So I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to go through. It's a brief PowerPoint. It's like 10 slides. And then I have some notes that I'm going to read to you from, okay? So we're going to be talking about the metaphysical mind. We're also going to be talking about the frontal lobe and the optic thalamus. And I've told you about the optic thalamus before, right? So let's go ahead and get into it, people. I'm going to share my screen. Let me get this PowerPoint up. I'm going to share my screen so you all can view this PowerPoint. Everyone, please go ahead and like and share the video. Please give the video a thumbs up. Okay. Okay, the metaphysical mind. Now, I'm basically going to be telling you just some things about our brains, okay? Some of the important things to know about our brains. Now, practices that involve concentrating on something over and over again, either through prayer or mantra-based meditation, these things tend to activate the frontal lobes, the areas chiefly responsible for directing attention, modulating behavior, and expressing language. In contrast, when practitioners surrender their will, such as when they speak in tongues. Now, you may have seen people in church and they get, they say they're filled with the Holy Ghost or whatever, and then they start speaking in a language. Some people actually are speaking in tongues. Some people are just saying gibberish, if you ask me, okay? When you're speaking in tongues, you're actually speaking a language that someone should be able to translate, all right? But so, these people may start speaking in tongues or function as a medium, someone who can communicate with the dead or the spiritual realm. Activity decreases in their frontal lobes. So now, when people start surrendering their will, let me just go over that again, such as they start speaking in tongues or functioning as a medium, the activity decreases in their frontal lobes, but it increases in their thalamus, the tiny brain structure that regulates the flow of incoming sensory information to many parts of the brain. This suggests that their speech is being generated from someplace other than the normal speech centers. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because when they're talking about the activity decreases in the frontal lobes, but increases in the thalamus, remember what I taught you about, activating the third eye, rising the Kundalini energy, coming into the Christ within, or the God-like self, your God-like self, which makes you, the most high, because you rise into your higher level of consciousness. You know that the thalamus, right, which is the optic thalamus, and if you look on the PowerPoint, you see this green area right here. That's the optic thalamus, okay? It is shaped like an egg. It looks like an egg turned sideways. That organ right there, okay? That is the organ that when the energy from the Kundalini rises up the 33 vertebrae of the spine and then crosses the vagus nerve, it touches this organ right here, the optic thalamus. And remember, it becomes illuminated. Therefore, that's when they say you are enlightened. It activates the pineal gland, i.e. the third eye. So it makes sense to say, excuse me, that when you're speaking in tongues, which is to speak a language that you never studied, you don't even know, but you speak it fluently, when you're doing something like that, or you're functioning as a medium, someone who can speak to other spiritual realms, right? Beings in other realms, that your frontal lobe decreases, but the thalamus, it increases. And that is because that is where you get your awakening. That has everything to do with your awakening, with you being intuitive and with you activating the third eye. So that should make sense. I hope you understood that. Now, believers could say this proves that another entity is speaking through the practitioner, while non-believers would look for a neurological explanation. An ardent atheist who refuses to accept any aspect of religion as possibly correct or useful, or a devout religious person who refuses to accept science as providing any value regarding knowledge of the world and most likely not being considered a neurotheologian. Now, with that being said, basically, when you're woke, when your optic thalamus and your pineal gland are activated, i.e. your third eye is open, that is basically saying to you that other entities can be speaking through you. That's when some people say you have the Holy Spirit, right? When another entity from a different realm can speak through you. We're not talking about demons who possess you. That's what they do. They try to possess you. But if you're merely channeling another spirit, channeling another energy. Now, many of you may have seen mediums when they say they're speaking to the dead, right? Speaking to someone who has passed on, or the person may speak through them. You can audibly hear the person's actual voice that they had when they were on earth. You understand what I'm saying? And so these things are able to occur. People can do these things when their third eye, their optic thalamus, their pineal gland has been activated and is in fact functioning. Now, neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Newberg believes that everyone can benefit from some type of meditation practice. And I always tell you guys to meditate. I told you, try to meditate at least for 10 minutes a day. Just 10 minutes. You can meditate when you're on a break at work, right? If you can find a quiet space, that is. Now, if one practice isn't working for an individual, he or she should try something else. Now, as a general rule, these practices lower depression, anxiety, and stress. Now, Dr. Andrew also adds that at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia, where he's the director of research at the Myrna Brine Center of Integrative Medicine, researchers have found that meditation can improve memory and concentration. Okay? The God gene. Now, it's debatable whether these practices are more effective when founded on religious or spiritual beliefs. Dr. Dean Hamer, author of the book, The God Gene, How Faith is Hardwired into Our Genes, he discovered that research subjects with a particular variation of a certain gene were more susceptible to self-transcendent spiritual experiences. Let me say that part again. He discovered through his research that subjects with a particular variation of a certain gene were more susceptible to self-transcendent spiritual experiences. Now, we have something called the God gene. Some people call it the God spot. It is a part in your brain that connects you spiritually to the Most High. It is actually a spiritual connection to the Most High. And that is why when you pray, most people pray silently, right? Like telepathy. So, and that's why, because you have a connection to the Most High. Everyone should have that. They call it the God gene, right? And this is what makes you, this is also what helps you to have and achieve spiritual experiences, because you have to have a direct connection to the Most High and to be able to do that, okay? Now, meditative practices. Well, Newberg agrees that spiritual beliefs are influenced by a person's genetics and environment, and that meditation practices are more effective when they reinforce a practitioner's belief system. However, he says researchers are still investigating whether religious beliefs in general make healthier and happier people. Now, he considers atheism to be a belief system as well, and says that a possible mental health, it's a possible mental health benefits of belonging to a religious denomination could not be just belief, but the built-in social work. So basically, you know how people go to church. Let's just say, for example, some people believe in religion, they belong to different denominations or whatever, but it's not just about you believing in these things. It's about having a built-in social network. Whereas maybe you have a group that you study with, like a Bible study, or, people that go to church. Now, everyone that believes in religion doesn't go to church. Some people practice religion outside of the church, but many people go to church simply because of fellowship, because it feels good to be with people on the same vibration, people that are praying and worshiping the same as you, the same deity as you, right? Because we know that the Most High is called by many names throughout the world, depending on the culture and heritage of the people. But some people have a social network where they go to church and they pray with other people, or they get in a prayer group. Some people have a built-in social network, right? It's built within them. Some people pray by themselves, right? They may pray at home. They don't feel the need to go to church. But some people go to church because they absolutely need the fellowship. They feel more empowered when they're praying with like-minded people. Some people meditate with other people. They feel more empowered when they meditate with other people. And you can also meditate by yourself. You may feel more empowered meditating on your own. But let me tell you something. When you meditate or pray within a group setting, there is a certain type of frequency, a certain type of vibration that you may not be able to achieve on your own. In the Bible, it says, when two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. Now, I have noticed that when I pray with someone who is on the same accord as me, that the prayers, they manifest much more quickly. The same thing with meditation. A few months ago, I was involved in this online meditation that we were doing. I did it for like a week, and it was very powerful because you could literally feel the energy and the frequency. Even though we were doing it online, everyone was meditating together, so you could literally feel this high energy and frequency, right? And that's why when the whole pandemic started and they were saying that people couldn't go to church and people couldn't pray together, I thought that was crazy, because that was lowering people's frequency. It was making people actually low vibrational. I'm sure many people, especially people who are used to going to church and worshiping with others. Now, when Newberg scanned the brains of nuns and Buddhists who were undergoing mystical experiences, they reported feelings of timelessness, spacelessness, and self-transcendence. Newberg believes that a cause of these feelings is the reduced activity that he saw in their parietal lobes, the orientation area of the brain responsible for perceiving three-dimensional objects in space. A mediator may experience a sense of oneness with all things, or unity, because the reduced activity blurs the perceived lines between the mediator and other objects. Now, damage to the parietal lobe. When the parietal lobes are damaged, patients have distorted beliefs about their own bodies and are often sometimes confused about their spatial orientation to outside objects. In an example from Why We Believe What We Believe, patients think one of their legs is not theirs. They then find they have been found trying to throw their own leg out of their bed. That is just basically telling how, if you have damage to this lobe, because there's 3 lobes. I think there's three or 4 lobes. Let me see. There's the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and there's another one. I think there's 4 lobes altogether. But with that all being said, the frontal lobe is the most important. Now, if you have damage to the parietal lobe, basically you can have feelings of delusion. Like you could literally not know that a part of your body is actually yours. It's basically what the test showed. And they were literally trying to throw their own leg out of the bed, right? That just shows how distorted your mind can get if that part of the brain isn't functioning properly. Now, in his new book, Newberg cites a study led by Dr. Brick Johnston, who found that the damage to the right parietal lobe caused patients' self-transcendence experiences to actually increase. Newberg suggests in his book that mystical experiences are described as blissful or ecstatic. A spiritual experience is in many ways a branch of the mystical experiences and can be seen as a more specific experience involving the individual spirit or soul, whereas a mystical experience can involve wider concepts such as nature or universal reality. Spiritual experiences may even involve a connection to some kind of divine being and could have a religious element. Spiritual experiences are almost always life-affirming, joyous, and beautiful. Now, the frontal lobe is important because you need this for cognitive functions and control of voluntary movement or activity. The parietal lobe processes information about temperature, taste, touch, and movement, while the occipital lobe is primarily responsible for the vision. So there's 3 lobes. Okay, there's 3 lobes. And like I said, the frontal lobe is the most important because it controls cognitive functions and things that you control voluntarily. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to get into the notes, right? I know that was probably a lot, but that was basically, I liked as soon as I came in. I wish I could like more than once. Thank you, Mimi, beloved. So that was just basically just to give you an idea. That was basically just a lesson to give you an idea of how the brain works and operates, okay? How some parts of the brain, affect your spirituality. Some parts affect your oneness with the Most High, with God, the God spot, the God gene, and all of that. And how collectively these 3 lobes are very important, for your metaphysical well-being. And the optic thalamus, or the optic thalamus, is a part of your third eye that you have to have opened and activated to be able to perceive things and understand things that are outside of the box, right? Things that may seem strange to some. Those of us that they call conspiracy theorists, yeah, those type of people usually have activated their pineal gland. The people who can't see things as they do, or who think that they sound crazy, they don't understand because they cannot see, because they're third eye blind. That's what I call them. Third eye blind, right? So that all being said, let's get into these notes, because this will be much more not entertaining, but understandable. This is easier to understand because when you talk about, neuroscience and neurotheology and all of those technical things, it's kind of confusing for some people, I understand. But that's something that I have taught to my classes before, to my students. But I just basically wanted you to try to understand how the brain works and functions as it pertains to spirituality and metaphysical things. So now let's get into these notes. Okay, now since the turn of the century, particularly in the United States and other Western countries as well, success metaphysics has appeared in abundance. Over the decades, the basic teachings have evolved, yet the truths upon which they stand remain relatively intact. Now, more recently, however, the public's attention has been drawn towards metaphysics under various labels and packaging, through books that we've read, through television, radio, social media especially. Now, mass media communications has played a major role, along with the growth in the availability of lectures, courses, seminars, individual counseling, and tutoring. Through it all, millions in the United States alone have been introduced to principles and practices that are a part of success metaphysics. Now, that term is being used because it can apply in small or large part to teachings that might come under the label of new thoughts. That's what some people call it, the school of new thought, things like that. Or a positive thinking approach to life based on spiritual realities. Now, initial motivation for one attracted to any system of success metaphysics is for the majority of people. You know, the lure and promise of improvement in one's life, particularly in areas of love, money, wealth, health. These things are very important. Now, if the system of success metaphysics is fully cognizant of the intricacies of what it is teaching, then it must be realized that the emphasis of what makes everything work for the followers is spiritual in nature. The foremost being that all the good experienced in life is a result of the Most High. Now, complementing this truth is the principle that the more someone places their personal ego to the side, the greater their chances become to merge with the great God of the universe. The focus of their concentration should therefore be more inward. You want to be focusing more on yourself, inside of yourself, the Christ within, right? As opposed to focusing on the outside, right? Which is why it's so annoying when I listen to people like Kevin Samuels. And I don't mean to keep bringing up his name, but it just irks my nerve every time I think about how shallow he is and how when he judges people, he judges them like a book with a cover, which is the opposite of what you should do when you're trying to help people, especially people who have mental trauma. You know, they're suffering through hardships and things in life, and they're coming to you to answer the questions about things that they have difficulties understanding or dealing with. He talks about the outer, the physical, when that's the last thing we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on our inner selves, right? What's on the inside of a person. Because you can do things to fix the outside, right? You can go get surgery. You can put on makeup. You can go get your hair cut. You can grow your hair out. You can put on weave. You can dress up. You can dress down. You can do all those things. You can do all of those things. At the end of the day, it's all about spirituality. It's about fixing the inside of yourself. Healing the wounds and the hurt and the pain and all the damage that has been done. You need to be healing the inside of yourself. Your spirit, your soul is what is most important, because at the end of the day, this outside, this outer shell, this avatar, this will go back to the dust from whence it came. But the soul, the spirit lives on, right? So that's the main thing you need to fix. And that's the main thing that people should focus on when we're dealing with other people, especially when we're trying to help them or when they've come to us for advice. Now, the focus of the concentration should be more inward. Their initial motivation of self-need should begin to shift toward the importance of drawing close to the Most High. The whole of any worthwhile form of success metaphysics revolves around the Most High as the nucleus, and thus should be the natural focus of our attention. The fulfilling of one's needs in matters of love, finance, wealth, health should naturally remain. However, the shift of focus should now swing to the source, and the source is God, the Most High. Now, the initial motivation or need remains, but self-centered concerns of the personal ego should give way to an interest in the pursuit of spiritual oneness. God should become the center stage of the attraction in one's mind, as emphasis is placed upon Christ's concept of seek ye first the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be added unto you, right? And this, again, that is an allegory in the Bible that's talking about the mind. Most of the things in the Bible pertain to the mind. And remember that I told you, when we talk about heaven, we're talking about the head, because heaven means heaved up, right? Also, that's why the Kundalini energy, the Christ within energy, rises from the bottom, the tip of the spine, from the solar plexus up the 33 vertebrae into the head. And when we say the kingdom of God is within you, the kingdom is the head. King, you wear a crown upon your head. A king wears a crown upon his head. Dome. They call your head a dome. The kingdom of God is within you. When they talk about going to the temple, these temples on your head, okay? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be added unto you. This in no way suggests becoming a religious zealot. running through life with half-crazed emotionalism. Now, it does mean, however, coming to a calm realization and pursuing the presence of God, the Most High, within oneself should take foremost priority. Since if this is done, then whatever one needs will be met due to the relationship to the presence of God within themselves. And that is why I always emphasize that you want to raise your energies to the Christ within, to the Most High, to your God-like self. You don't want to be low vibrational. That's why I talk to you about the stages of consciousness, the different stages of consciousness, and rising into your God-like self and opening your third eye. And I told you the things that you need to do that you need to do that. You have to be eating a clean diet. You have to be abstaining from anything that is toxic, alcohol, smoking, cigarettes, right? Porn and all of those things, these ungodly things. I mean, you don't have to be a saint, of course, but there are things that you should not do. And in the time that you're trying to raise this energy, you also are supposed to be sustaining from sex, right? So, and I know some of you probably can't do these things, but at the end of the day, there's 12 times per year that you have the ability to raise this Kundalini energy, the Christ within energy. You have once every month. There's 12 months in a year. Once a month or every month, you have the ability to do this. So if you can't do it 1 month, if you can't abstain from sex, if you can't, stop smoking cigarettes, drinking liquor, just doing these things that you shouldn't be doing. If you can't stop doing it 1 month, then just start over the next month and try it again. There's 12 times a year that you can do it. You can do it any month. Just try to do it at least one. Okay? Please, for your own sake, people. Now, such an attitude coupled with the spiritual self-revealing that occurs in meditation should act as the impetus for realizing that while our immediate personal needs may have been in the initial attraction or motivation, they were only the most surface issues. The real reason we are attracted or come into contact with any genuine form of success, metaphysics, is to begin to process the growth, to begin the process of self-growth, right? To outgrow our present personal ego, and to form a more lasting relationship of a mystically intimate nature with the presence of God. God presence of universal mind and the spirits within, the Christ within. Now, to truly succeed, personal egotism must be set aside in favor of universal selfhood. If we draw closer to God within ourselves, then we will find that a state of mind is emerging from within ourselves that sees things in larger perspectives and is not content to stand still and bask in lesser accomplishments. So with that all being said, when you start to come into the oneness of God, of your God-like self, when you start raising your vibrational frequency, raising your levels of consciousness, then you'll start to see that all these low vibrational things that you've been engaging in are no good for you. They're nefarious, and you really will not want to bother with them. You will not want to be around negative people who are always trying to talk down on your dreams and goals and trying to skew your thinking. You are not to want to engage in things that you know are of no benefit, that are not productive. Like hanging out, partying all night on Saturday nights, every single Saturday, right? It's okay to party sometimes, but when you start doing anything too much, it's a problem. So when you start realizing who you are and what gifts you have and getting in touch with your spiritual self, with the oneness and the wholeness of the divine you, rising into your God-like self, these other things will be a turn off. You will become more disciplined and be more willing and able to do what is right and to do what is best for yourself. And you'll start setting goals and reaching them. You'll stop worrying about what other people say and think. Queen, I sent you an email just making sure you didn't forget about it. Appreciate you always. Thank you, LeVar. I did see it, beloved. I thought I responded, but I did get your email. Thank you for your kind words and for your contribution, beloved. Peace and blessings to you. And so with that all being said, you have to start trying to focus your energies on the positive. So many times in life, we sit here and we worry about what other people think of us. Let me tell you something. Worrying about what other people think will be your downfall. It will keep you from doing anything positive. You'll sit there and listen and let other people talk you right out of your dreams and goals. Let other people discourage you until you feel that you can't do something. You don't need to worry about what other people think about you, because at the end of the day, you have your life to live. Other people cannot live your life for you. And like I told you before, 10 times out of 10, when people are talking down on your dreams, when they're trying to discourage instead of encourage you, when they're trying to bring you down instead of motivating and lifting you up, those people are upset with themselves. They feel miserable. They feel like they haven't accomplished anything. And so they don't want to see anyone around them accomplish anything. When you surround yourself with negativity, it's very hard to think and be and feel and live positively. So with that all being said, you need to put those people in the rear view and look forward and move on. And anything that you've done in your life that has not yielded you good rewards, anything that you have been dealing with that is not to your own benefits, you need to stop dealing with it, and you need to stop doing those things. Because if you continue to do what you've always done, then you'll always be where you've always been. You won't progress. And there is struggles in life. We all go through struggles. But remember, like Frederick Douglass said, without struggle, there is no progress. Mimi says, hey, Queen, I sent you an email. I'm loving this, by the way. You are touching on things I was just talking to someone about. I love you so much. Thank you, beloved. And I love you right black. Thanks for your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Now, so when you all send me your emails, if your email name is not the same as the name that you use in the chats, please put your chat name on the email so I'll know exactly who sent it, okay? Thank you. And so, where was I? Hold on, people. Okay, so now to truly succeed, personal egotism must be set aside in favor of universal selfhood. If we draw closer to the God within ourselves, then we will find that a state of mind is emerging from within ourselves that sees things in larger perspectives and is not content to stand still and bask in lesser accomplishments. A person's concentration of creative energies, God's creative thoughts, individualizes or takes hold of the individual's spirit, resulting in the attitude that success in anything in life is left undone or unfinished unless it is pursued all the way to its ultimate culmination. So that means we can sit here and say or talk about things that we want and talk about things that we need, say things that we're going to do, but if you don't put the actions forth, it's never going to happen. Things won't just fall into your lap. Remember on another broadcast, I told you that I had a friend who was always talking about what she was going to do, Mr. Mystic Black Real. Thank you for your contribution, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. I told you all I had this friend who was always saying things that she was going to do. Oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And she never put any effort into doing those things. Prayer without works is dead, okay? We should all be praying on a daily, and not just when we need something. We should be praying to God with gratitude and thanking God for the things that we have in our lives. But with that all being said, when you pray for things that you want and need, and you don't put any effort into getting those things, they're just not going to just fall in your lap. They're just not going to just show up knocking on your door and say, hey, it's me. You asked for me. Here I am. No, that's not how it works. You have to pray, but you also have to do the work. Okay? God helps those who help themselves. If you're sitting there and you have a problem with drinking and you pray to God to help you stop having this problem with drinking, well, how is that going to happen if you continue to go to the bars where there's alcohol being served? How is that going to happen if all of the people that you hang around love to drink? How is that going to happen if you have liquor sitting on the shelves in your house? You understand what I'm saying? So you have to do the work. You have to put forth the effort. Queen Candy J says faith without works is dead. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, one becomes grateful to God for any minor victories won in life, but knows that far more is possible. A person's consciousness vibrates with pursuing everything to its ultimate, because the more universal one's mind becomes through their relationship with God, then the more they see the total picture of what really needs to be done and what actually can be achieved. Now, the closer we become to the presence of the God within ourselves, the more we are filled with universal love. Universal love is love based on compassion, understanding, tolerance, and patience with one's fellow beings. That's unconditional love. People whose state of mind is really equal to success in the fullest meaning of the word possess, manifest, and express compassion, understanding, tolerance, and patience with others on a daily basis. As they live their lives, this is what they do. You see, when you talk to people and you're asking them for help and they talk to you in a condescending tone and they give you nothing but insults and they talk down on you and they make you feel bad about yourself, instead of lifting you up and making you feel good about yourself, instead of telling you that the glass is not half empty, the glass is in fact half full. When they don't encourage you, but they discourage you, those are not people you should be getting advice from. Point blank and serious. Now, with that all being said, people whose state of mind is really equal to success in the fullest meaning of the word process, they possess, manifest, and express compassion, understanding, tolerance, and patience with others on a daily basis as they live their lives. Now, this does not mean striking a self-righteous pose with others. That's what you don't want to do. And spiritually patronizing them to make themselves seem spiritually inferior, while you seem spiritually superior, right? Or basically, you don't want to patronize them to make them feel like they're superior. You just want to be honest with people. And there's ways to do that. You can be honest with someone about their faults rather than talking down. Mr. Mystical Black Realm says, so true you are. Shakur. Thank you, beloved. Rain Love says exactly. So you don't want to just overdo it and, like just make people think, oh, they're just perfect. You just want to be honest and you want to be encouraging and motivating and inspiring to people. Now, holier than thou types are not in a state of mind to really practice the golden rule, since they are too mentally preoccupied with their own false sense of spiritual self-importance. Kevin Samuels, can we say it? Okay. These people are mentally preoccupied with their own false sense of spiritual self-importance, okay? Acting holier than thou, talking down on everybody else who asks you for help as if you're perfect. That's who you don't want to talk to. Now, with that all being said, once we come into a metaphysical state of mind that produces successful living, we know we must do more than simply strike a prayerful position upon awaking in the morning. We must hold that position as a lifestyle for the entire day. And remember what I told you about when you wake up, the attitude that you have, the vibration and frequency that you're on when you wake up, that sets the tone for your day. So you don't want to wake up on the wrong side of the bed. You don't want to be arguing with someone as soon as you wake up when you first get to work. You don't want to be doing that because that can ruin your whole day, because that energy can stay with you, stay stagnant throughout your day. So you want to wake up in the morning, giving yourself positive, encouraging words of affirmations. You want to be thinking positive thoughts. Today is going to be a lovely day. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to work to achieve my goals. I'm going to do something constructive and productive and not destructive. I'm going to speak life into people, into myself. You want to think those types of thoughts when you rise in the morning. You don't want to be thinking negative. Now, God created the entirety of the universe, which encompasses a great deal of activity. The nature of God is one of activity, okay? That means we should always be doing something. Should never be saying, oh, I'm doing nothing. You should always be doing something. If you have extra time to spare, then relax, quiet your mind. Thank you, Queen Amadaya. Well, thank you, beloved J Love the Queen. Thank you for your kind words and contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. So you should always be doing something. If you have time to spare, you should be relaxing your mind. Don't just relax your body. Relax your mind. Quiet the mind and meditate, even if it's just 5 minutes, because this helps you with concentration. It helps you to stay focused and disciplined. And it also, remember, according to the doctor that I just spoke on, it also should help relieve depression and stress and anxiety. Okay, now, with that all being said, such activity is a combination of God's spirit, universal consciousness expression in matter or physical density. This expression involves the action or activity of a trinity of spirit, the spirit, mind, and matter. The closer we draw to the presence of God within ourselves, the more we begin to realize that only through taking action in spirit, mind, and then body, physical manifestation, only then can our significant needs be accomplished. That means put in the work. Don't just pray for it and wait for it. Go out there and work for it and fight for it. Those who have truly achieved a state of mind conducive to realizing success metaphysically should have arrived at a point in their consciousness wherein they regard themselves as action people. I regard myself as an action people. In fact, that's one of my top talents. I'm an activator. I get things done. I don't sit around and wait for someone else to do it. I don't need anyone else to show me how to do it. I can get someone to show me, but if they're taking all day, I'm going to find out for myself. That's just how I am. I don't sit around and wait and depend on someone else. I'm all about action and getting things done. And I don't like to wait. I like to get things done in a timely fashion because I usually have a lot of things to do. So if I don't know how to do something, I'm unsure about something, and I'm asking someone for help or to show me or guide me, and they're just, taking their own sweet time or whatever, I'm going to go and figure it out for myself. That's what I'm going to do. And I never trust anyone's research but my own. People send me research all the time. I always fact check it. I research things for myself so that I can say I know what I know and not what someone told me. You should be able to verify things when someone tells you certain information. So you want to know that you have the correct information, because sometimes people tell you the wrong things, and not on purpose. Some of them tell you things wrong on purpose, but some people just make mistakes, or they themselves may have misinformation. That's why it's good to verify things. Now, so with that all being said, those who have truly achieved a state of mind conducive to realizing success metaphysically should have arrived at a point in their consciousness wherein they regard themselves as action people. Those who are relentlessly deliberate and concentrated day after day in the active pursuit of that which they strive to obtain. Okay? Now, let me quote my source on this, because a lot of this information I got from Dr. Paul Leon Masters. Okay? And with that all being said, I hope you all got something out of this, and I hope this encouraged and inspired and motivated you in some way. Let me remind you of something. Much of the time in life, we listen to other people's criticisms of us, and that's okay, because some people will criticize you to help you get better. Everything that we hear about ourselves isn't always going to be good. Sometimes, let me tell you something. Someone very important in my life, sometimes they tell me things that I need to change or whatever, or things that I can do better. And while they're talking, I'm literally sitting there rolling my eyes because I don't want to hear it. Right? I'm rolling my eyes. Now, it's not that I don't want to hear it or don't accept it or can't comprehend it, because I absolutely can. But at that moment, I don't want to hear it. So I'm just sitting there rolling my eyes. But I know that this person has my best interest in mind. I know that this person wants to see me win. And that is why when they tell me anything, I'm always willing to listen. And I can roll my eyes for a few minutes, but I know that they're telling me what's best. And so I'm going to do what they say. I'm going to take their advice. When you have people like that in your life, you should absolutely listen to them. People who have your best interest in mind. They will not steer you in the wrong direction. They will not belittle you, look down on you, be judgmental of you. They will only guide you and tell you things that will help you to become a better you. But then keep in mind, there are some people who are haters. There are some people who don't wish you well. Some people who don't want to see you win. And they will tell you things just to tear you down, to make you feel bad. So you have to distinguish between those who are real and genuine, authentic, and who want to see you win, as opposed to those who are haters and fake and fraud, and those who want to bring you down and see you fail. And keep this in mind. Some of these people, both of these type of people, can pose as friends. The person who's telling you these things to motivate and inspire you and to help you be better, that's a friend. But the person who's telling you things to discourage you and bring you down and make you have low vibrational feelings and self-doubt, that person can pose as a friend And usually those type of people will pose as a friend, because then it's easier for them to get your attention. Then it's easier for them to get your ear and get in your mind and start having you to think down on yourself. Because you'll think, this is my friend, they're not telling me anything wrong. When in fact, some people are not really your friends. They're posing as friends. I call them posers. And they will sit there and tell you things to purposely sidetrack you and sabotage what you're trying to accomplish, because they don't want you to accomplish it. Because here's the thing you need to remember, people. Some people are perfectly fine with you as long as you and them are on equal playing fields. But as soon as you start to rise above and leave things behind that you did before that are no good for you now, that person wants to pull you back in. They don't want to see you move ahead and leave them where they are stuck stagnant, because they lack the ability, the initiative, or the discipline to do the work. And when they don't want to do the work, they will try to stop you from doing it. And I want you to remember that in life, there's some people that are not meant to go on your journey with you. You may have known them since you were kids. They may be a part of your family. At the end of the day, everybody is not going to be on the same boat. We're not all on the same boat, so we can't all go on the same journey. And there's some people, at some point, we have to stop and let them get off. And that's just the way it goes. Now, it may hurt you because you may have an attachment to them. Sometimes we keep people and things in our lives that mean us absolutely no good, but we do it because we have allowed ourselves to become complacent with these people. We have become complacent with them, and we are so used to them being around that we don't even know how to function without them. At least that's what we think to ourselves. But at the end of the day, you should ask yourself, when you're dealing with these type of people, you should ask yourself, if I were in a boat and someone tied a concrete cinder block to my ankle and I fell in the water and I was drowning, would I keep that concrete cinder block tied to my ankle and just go on down and drown? Or would I try to rid myself of it so that I can rise back to the top and stay afloat? That's what you should do. Thank you for your contribution, beloved Mr. Mystical Black Real. Peace, love, and blessings to you. So with that all being said, we have to do what's best for us. And it's okay to worry about things, as long as while you're worrying about things, you're also trying to find and figure out a solution to the problem. Just to sit there and worry, that's not going to do anything but stress you out, right? And stress can kill you. So you don't want to worry too much. You don't want to spend too much time pondering on things. But if you have a problem, you should be trying to find a solution. Don't just sit there and dwell on the problem. Oh, I don't have my rent money. Let me tell you something I saw somebody do one time, years ago. I've seen them do this actually more than once, but I'm going to talk about one particular incident. Years ago, there was a person I knew, and I remember them saying that they didn't have all of their rent money. Now, I don't know about you, but here's my thinking. If I have a bill to pay and I didn't have all of the money, well, I would be trying to get the rest of the money. That's just me. I'd be trying to figure out, what can I do to get the rest of this money before the deadline? I've got to pay my rent. I don't want to pay a late fee. I don't want to get evicted, right? So what can I do to get the rest of this money? So I would start working to get the rest. But I'm going to tell you what this person did that I thought was so niggering. Said they didn't have all of the rent money. So instead, the money that they did have, which was at least half of it, they took it and went out and bought pizza for their kids and themselves. Took the kids to the movies and all of that. And I thought that was so crazy. I'm like, you don't even have all your rent money. Why are you going out here to the movies and buying up pizza and all this foolishness? You know what their rationale and their reasoning and their justification was to me? They said, well, children should know that you're broke. And so you should always put on a front that you're doing good, even if you're not. So the kids, for their sake. So even though we're struggling, I'm still going to take them to the movies and buy them pizza. Let me tell you how stupid that is. At the end of the day, Yeah, children should not know that you're broke. Children should not know about your problems and struggles. How do you keep children from knowing those things? It's easy. By not discussing it around them. That's all. You don't have to go out and put on airs and facades and buying pizza and going to movies and paying for things that you can't afford. You just simply don't talk about it around the children. Keep smiling, being in a good mood, giving them positive affirmation so that they have a good day and they're feeling good. Meanwhile, you keep your struggles and worries to yourself. But here's the thing. She said she didn't want the children to know what was going on. Well, here's the problem with that. When you get evicted, which she did, when you get evicted, the children are absolutely going to know that. They're going to know that they don't have anywhere to go. They're going to be with you when you go knocking on doors or calling friends to see if you can come and stay with them. The children are absolutely going to know that. Whereas when you had half of the rent money and you needed the other half, you could have done things to try to come up with the rest. I mean, she had at least 2 weeks, to come up with this money. So I'm just saying, I thought that was so ridiculous. And that type of logic, or actually it wasn't logic, it was illogical if you ask me. That type of rationale or poor judgment, poor thinking, that to me was someone who is a slacker, someone who doesn't want to put in the work. It's easy to do the wrong thing. I told you that before. It's so easy to go out and buy pizza and go to the movies, right? When you don't have money to pay your rent, oh, of course you can take the money that you do have saved up and go out here and buy pizza and go to the movies. That's easy. It may not be as easy to come up with the other half of your rent, but you should at least try and work hard to see what you can do. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to going out and having fun for a day. So that's my 2 cents on that. What about those who lose your house? What do you mean, what about those who lose your house, beloved? Let me tell you something. Unfortunately, people do get in those situations where they lose their house. But at the end of the day, if your, finances are not up to par and you're afraid that you're going to lose your house, I would rather sell it than to lose it. That makes sense to me. I would rather sell it for less than it cost than to lose it. Because if you lose it, it's just gone. The bank's just going to come and snatch it up. Your credit's a mess. I would rather sell it to somebody. Vince I Am says, when I hit rock bottom. That made no sense at all. It absolutely did not. It absolutely did not. Right? So the thing is this. We all go through hard times and struggles, but it is what you do. We all go through storms in life, but it's what you do in that storm that defines you. If you try to fight your way through and try to get to a better place, and you are determined, disciplined, and focused, you can usually dig yourself out of a hole. But if you just give up, and you let depression take over and worry and stress, and you have a woe is me, negative Nancy attitude or doubting Thomas attitude, then you're just going to drown in a pit of your own sorrows. So with that all being said, it is always best, even though it's not always the easiest, to put in the work, to do the work. And sometimes this is what you should remember. Even when things look grim and they don't look like you're going to make it through, and they seem like the task ahead is just too much for you to accomplish or take on, like I told you numerous of times before, when you feel like you've come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. You never know how things will come out unless you try. Some things may seem impossible, but you can make them possible. It's not over until the fat lady sings, right? So with that all being said, God helps those who help themselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? So with that all being said, I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you got something out of it, but stay motivated, encouraged, and inspired. Always reach for the moon. or reach for the sky. And listen, you want to always hold your head up. Because remember, I told you about gravitational forces. When you look down, that's sorrow, that's depression, that's low vibration. Hold your head up high, even if things seem grim. Hold your head up and think positive. It's easy to think negative. It's easy to focus on the bad. Try to focus on the good things in life. Try to see the glasses half full rather than half empty. Be optimistic and never pessimistic. And remember, we are all here for only a short time. You know, when we leave this world and they put the tombstone on the grave, it has 2 dates on there: the year you were born and the year you died. And in between, there's just a small dash. That little dash, that's the amount of time that we're here on this earth. That's just a short little time that we're here. We can be gone in the twinkling of an eye. So I would advise everyone that while you're here, live your dash. Okay? Live your dash. Do the best that you can do with all that you do while you're here, because we only have one life to live. So with that all being said, I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. And I hope to see you all right back in the chats on the QueenAShakur TV show at 6 p.m. for your daily vitamins. Okay? We're going to be getting into some interesting topics, people. And I do have 2 doses of your daily vitamins today. So I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. And until next time, Royal Family, I will talk to you all again soon.